keep in mind the fact that before I bought a Miata, before I drove one, I didn't like them. I didn't want one. I didn't see a reason to own one. It was just a slow rear-wheel drive Honda Civic, basically, like a 240SX. That irritates people. I like saying that. But I have to say, I've owned this for 2 months now, and it has become one of my favorite cars that I've ever owned. I feel like I've put more miles on a Miata since I've owned this one than most. You know, don't look too deep into that. I'm sure there's someone that's going to be like, well, I drive mine this much a day. But at any rate, I've owned this car for 2 months, and when I purchased it, it had a hair under 212,000 miles on it. And now, as I'm looking at the odometer, it's at 216,600 miles, meaning that I've put over 5,000 miles on it since I purchased it. I guess under 5,000. We'll just say I drove it 5,000 miles in 2 months, because one way or another, it's close enough, like a couple hundred miles off. I drive it on average between 50 and 100 miles a day, and it has been nothing but super reliable. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, you had to change the starter and the alternator belt and the brakes, and you're right. But I tend to believe that most of those parts were stock parts. I tend to believe that the brake master cylinder is the original one that was on this car from the factory. The starter, there's a good chance of it. And when you think about it, those things having lasted 216,000 miles is pretty impressive. All things considered, disregarding regular maintenance things, like a starter's gonna go out, alternator belt's gonna go out, the brake master cylinder's gonna go out. Nothing dramatic, knock on wood. As some of you guys are aware, I'm a delivery driver, and like I said, I drive this every day. It's what I use for work. Oh God. Sorry if the camera's shaky. You're getting what, it's a real experience. It's what it feels like to be in this car. It's stiff and it's shaky. So let's delve into why I like the Miata so much, and it also broadens out to why everyone likes the Miata so much. And if you're sitting there like, well, I don't like Miatas, you're either one, lying, or two, you've never driven one. Because let's just start with the whole they're not fast thing. Get that right out of the way, because that is not what they're built to be. They're built to be amazing handling, perfectly weight distributed, well balanced, fun cars. And even mine, with 216,000 miles and blown rear suspension, is probably the most planted from the factory car I have ever felt in my life. It is insane, and as overplayed as it is to say it drives like a go-kart, it really does drive like a go-kart. For every bit that I wanted people to be wrong and drive this car and be like, yeah, it's not that great around the corners, it's just a stock car. It is, and you can't deny that. And if you try to, you've never driven one. The Miata's a lot like a Golf GTI in that it brought performance and handling to the masses who couldn't afford to buy sports cars like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and Jaguars and stuff like that. And Pontiac WS6s, which are not sports cars. Come at me. Miata's better. But this is what the Miata is all about. Just nice, smooth handling, coming around corners with big ditches that you can fly into and die. I've never been down this road.
Security gate ahead, no turnaround.
Wow, let's turn around.
Yeah, let's do exactly what that sign says not to do, or ever do.
Yeah, you're right. Miata falls under the category of cars which are best described as not fast cars, but slow cars that are fun to drive fast. And you just get a nice rev match like that. See, it's just fun. If you've never driven a Miata, drive one, because it's just fun. And they're cheap, and they're reliable. I paid $1,000 for mine. And here we are, driving it every day, like I said, 5,000 miles later, all I've done is oil changes, the starter, alternator belt, and the brakes. So I'll admit that this is probably my least favorite car I've ever owned to work on, because it's just like Hondas. People are like, well, they're super, super easy to work on, but when you come from my background, Mark 1 and Mark 2 Volkswagens and Volvos that take absolutely, I mean, a Volvo, you can stand in the engine bay and work on the engine. Like, there's tons of room. This is a small car, and I don't have small arms or small hands. So it takes a little bit of doing, but I get stuff done, and I don't regret it when I get to drive it again, because it's a super fun car to drive. We're gonna have to keep this road in mind.
Yeah.
See, we're coming up on a corner right now that says recommended speed 15 miles an hour. Well, that's just a suggestion. Whee! And stop sign. Those will kill the mood. Oh, it's a new Honda Ridgeline. Gross.
That's not even a truck.
Steve's more of a truck than the Honda Ridgeline is. It's giving it all it's got. It's not a lot, but it's trying, and that's all that matters. Obviously, mine's not perfect, as you can hear from all the wind noise or see with this big hole in my top. We'll address that before it snows, hopefully. Unless it snows way sooner than I expected it to.
I hope not.
The transmission in the Miata is just wonderful. I have to say, one thing you can ask Jacob, I've repeatedly said this, if I could find a transmission for my Volvo that shifted like a Honda's transmission, I would put it in a hot beat. I wanted the reliability and the feel of a Honda. The transmission just so definite, so smooth, even with tons and tons of miles on it. My last Accord had, what, 240,000 miles on it, and the transmission is still definite, still shifted straight and clear. You know exactly what gear you were going for, and that's what I wanted, but I wanted a rear-wheel drive car. And everyone pointed me the direction of the 240SX, but for every bit the Miata is overplayed on YouTube, the 240SX is, and for every bit the Miata is overvaluated, the 240SX is overvaluated by at least twice as much. I'm sorry, but your single cam KA S13 with 3 different colored body panels and big dents is not worth $4,000. That being said, if you want to get an NA Miata, now might be the time, because for me to find this one for $1,000 was insanely lucky. Around here, they sell for stupid numbers. In fact, about a week after I got it, after I brought it back, someone offered me $2,200 for it. But I told him no, because I wanted to get the full experience of the Miata lifestyle. And I'll admit, there are times when things come up and you're like, wow, I wish I could fit this in my car, or, oh, this person's car is broken and they have 2 people with them. It sucks, because only one person can ride with me. But there's other cars for that. I own other cars. If I really need to, I can drive the Volvo. But on a day-to-day basis, the Miata is the perfect daily driver. Everywhere you go is a racetrack when you're in a Miata. So I've been tossing around the idea of getting rid of the Miata come springtime, because I think it'd be a good meme to drive it through the winter, and I've got some cool plans for it for the winter. Don't worry about it. You guys saw the snow tires I bought. However, I'm not entirely convinced I will want to get rid of this car come springtime. It's just 20 miles an hour. Oh, okay.
Did you just spit? Like you spitting at us. That guy hates Miatas.
Yeah, dude. He's closeted.
He pulled over to let us go by, and then he spits on us.
The limit's like 30 through here. He's going like 20.
He went like 15.
Yeah. Dude, stay mad in your Toyota, whatever the hell. It ain't a Miata. I have to say, when I was watching Jay Leno's video, his interview with Car Throttle, and Alex from Car Throttle asked him what the best car on the budget to get the full feel and, you know, atmosphere of a sports car was. Jay Leno said the first gen Mazda Miata, and I had my doubts about that. I was like, man, for the same price you buy a Miata around here, you can get a decent E36, like not even a 318. You can get probably like a 325, or if you play your cards just right, you could probably get a 328. And I mean, there's tons of other things that I would have perceived as a better sports car than a Miata before considering a Miata. And now, having owned one, having driven one for 2 months, 5,000 miles. Well, it's a Toyota guy. Grumpy old man, shocker. I'd be hard pressed to recommend a car over a Miata if you just want a car that you can buy, bone stock, rip around corners, and just have a good time in. So I can 100% say that I get it now. I understand the love for Miatas. Miata is always the answer, as long as the question isn't, what's a fast car? But I do get it. They're super fun to drive, and I highly, highly recommend that you own one, or at least drive one for a few days if you get the opportunity. But all said and done, we are finished here. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it didn't come out great. I shot it on the Galaxy Note 8, the front-facing camera, but the rig I'm using is a little shaky. At any rate, make sure you guys are subscribed, give me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to submit your entries for Car of the Video to curseforeverhelp@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and add me on Snapchat at BigB1011, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.